Good afternoon, guys. Good afternoon, guys. Welcome to the third EMS DevBlog. So today I'm gonna go over some new stuff I added. EMS is getting closer and closer to release. I'm kind of polishing things up now at this point and just finishing up some of the features. Most of the stuff is done at this point. So, um, so for starters, in your gear now, you'll have a new medical bag. This will be in the update today. The medical bag. What this allows you to do, if you're not using it for EMS, is you're able to heal and refill air of other players and fires. You cannot use it on yourself, and you cannot use it to revive people. But it's just another option in the tool bag for something you may want to have with you. So anyway, we'll go ahead and start this call, kind of. So deploy the stretcher. Sorry for the stuttering. It's just a editor thing. So I did add the ability to load patients into the helicopter. It's not totally realistic, but I wanted to have a way for people to know there's a patient loaded into the helicopter. In real life, we tend to load them inside, but in this game, it's going to be on the outside of the helicopter. All right, so we'll come over to our patient. He looks a bit agonal. So basically, you would interact with her, then you have access to your full menu. You can assess your patient: alive, unresponsive, agonal breathing, but her lung sounds are normal, which is good. At least one thing it's going for us. The vitals aren't fully set up with this call, I guess, yet. However, I added a protocol thing, so a little help guide, so you can click on it. So what kind of calls have, it's kind of just how to get through each call. For an overdose, you want to assess breathing and pulse. Patient has agonal breathing, establish an airway, whether it be oral or nasal. Administer high flow oxygen with a bag valve mask. You may administer up to 2 doses of naloxone. I can't pronounce that, but it's pretty much Narcan, but Narcan's trademarked, so. Assess the breathing in between doses, and then regardless of improvement, promptly transport patient to the nearest hospital. So the way I set up these EMS calls as a side diversion is they're almost like puzzles with pretty much everything's randomly generated. Every call has a chance to being something else. So you could go to a difficulty breathing, have cardiac arrest, same thing with overdose. There's a general sick person where it could be any of the calls, however, could also be nothing wrong with them and they just want to ride to the hospital. Which, just like real life, that's going to be a majority of the transports in this game. So, same thing for diabetics. Like every call is kind of laid out. Things don't really change over the course of the calls besides the treatments you give the patient. So go ahead and show you guys. So we're going to establish an oral airway for this. Do high flow oxygen with a BVM. You can see the BVM appears. So if we assess a breathe, this is agonal. We'll administer 1 dose of it. Still agonal. Still agonal. So there's been no improvement. However, sometimes there can be improvement. Yada yada yada. So if we were gonna transport this person by air, which I'll show you guys in a second, you just walk over here and load your patient after you have them selected. If you want to transport them by ground, do so in the menu. You just click transport by ground, and I'll load them on the stretcher. So we walk over here. Not totally realistic, but it serves its purpose. So now you're able to transport them to the hospital. And then once you land at the hospital, you can just go inside and give your report. When you arrive in the ambulance at the hospital, you have to unload your stretcher into, I guess, deployed mode, I would call this. And then you would go inside and give your report to the nurse. I have lots of different treatments available. And again, we went over this a few times. But depending on the call is depending on your treatment. There are some like fails to where it makes the patient untreatable. For instance, and difficulty breathing. They have rails, and you give them albuterol. It pretty much makes them untreatable since you just cause them to flash. Everything's staying BLS only still. Calls once again are going to be fully randomly generated, so every call type has a bunch of different variations, even to where like it appears there's nothing wrong with them. There's other times where like maybe only one thing would give a hint away. For the cardiac arrest and stuff, I'll show that off the next DevBlog. You apply AED. Because there's a lot of kids that play this game, you won't be cutting off any shirts or anything, as you would in real life. But you'll apply your defibrillator, do compressions. There's a very, very slight chance that you get pulses back. It's possible. However, there's a slight chance. So there's going to be, in the protocols, I think I added that. You'll have to do at least 2 minutes of chest compressions before you're transporting. You can transport regardless, but then I'll just say like you didn't follow protocols. Yada. There's a chance it can also be DOA, beyond help. Which once you do that, there'll be some more options in here. The contact medical control, and they'll perform the pronouncement. Typically, that's not a BLS skill. That's more ALS. Obviously, it's BLS to identify that someone's dead, but it's ALS for them to come in and be there, because usually they do like their 4 lead EKG stuff and then put a toe tag on, at least how we operate, and then they call the doctor through medical control, or contact medical control, and the doctor pronounces. But regardless, that's how we're going to operate. There's no ALS in Canton County yet, so once again, they could come in the future. We don't know. Things could evolve with this in the future. Obviously, people have seen that there's 3 major updates left coming to this game, including this. However, that's not to say I'm not going to keep tinkering with things in the future and keep making smaller additions and new modes and stuff. We'll see. I made this system pretty modular, so it's really easy to add on new treatments and stuff in the future and new problems. I definitely plan on expanding the trauma and stuff over time and smaller updates, which just realized I somehow missed putting in the trauma protocols, which I'll do that. But there's also going to be, if the patient doesn't want to go to the hospital and they have no injuries, or if they even have injuries, there'll just be a little form for them to sign, which will be just a button click and then they sign. I'm still thinking about doing a after the call report you can fill out, like a form that everybody on the server can see and look up. If there's people that want that, I have no problem doing that. It's still up in the air. So, and the other thing I'd like to say is I'm changing the victim system in the fires and car accidents, so it'll be optional whether you want to do EMS or not. So there'll be like a triage place you can set up outside, and every victim you rescue will appear there. Fires are going to be getting multiple victims. I find the gameplay kind of slow to like drag out victims manually, so the way I'm gonna do it is it'll be like a prompt like this to rescue the victim, and then they'll appear outside, so you can continue doing whatever you want to do without having to take yourself out of the action to walk them all the way out. However, with that freedom that I'm adding of that, I'm gonna have new places victims can be found. They'll be able to be at windows, so you can make grabs out of windows, which you'll throw a ladder, and then like you climb to the top of the ladder, you get the prompt, press E to rescue the victim, and you do so, and then the victim's saved and stuff. I might have them on roofs, like porches, all kinds of places. And once again, multiple victims this time in calls. So the other thing, if you don't want to do EMS, when you get back down to the triage tent, if you want to do EMS, you can choose to start treating them. If you don't, you can kind of like instantly handle them. Something else I'd also like to say with that, well, kind of along the lines of that, of things being instantly handled. In the truck company update, I'll be adding a slight chance for some emergencies for an engine to already be on scene and working on the fire and stuff. So I'll talk more about that when I get closer to that update. But that's pretty much all I wanted to really talk about in this devblog. EMS is getting closer and closer to release. Unfortunately, I'm without my laptop this weekend due to it being in the repair shop, computer repair shop. I dropped it off yesterday. It'll be ready Tuesday. I can still develop on my desktop, but I go to work this weekend, so I won't have access to working on the game at all Saturday night, well, tonight into tomorrow. So, but I'll be back Monday finishing things up. The EMS, it's really at this point just a couple final things. There's probably a couple hours left to work, and then it's ready to get shipped out privately. Tonight, voice chat will be in the game in this update. Not the EMS update, but the general update coming tonight. I placed some new structures that can have fires. I'll be adding fires to them this coming weekend, or not this coming weekend, this coming week. Lots more stuff's coming to the game, guys, including that rear mount tower that everybody keeps requesting. So I also don't remember if I talked about this, but I'll be replacing the hazmat vehicle with this. This will be the new hazmat truck. There's a few reasons for that. The biggest reason is the hazmat truck currently in the game is poor quality, so it's just not really feasible to keep it without some major work being done into it. Money I'm not willing to put into that truck. This truck's in UV mapped as we speak, and it'll probably be in the game as soon as it's ready. And the skin, and at least one skin's made for it, so gonna look out for that. So we're gonna hop over to Canton County. I just want to show some smaller details I had. Alright, so we're here in Canton now. As you can see, I had a little bit more details around 5. Kind of completing a little boardwalk area and stuff. Over time, especially these next 2 months, you're going to see a lot of areas start getting closer to completion across the whole map. Some new structure fires that are coming. One's right here. There'll be another one here. The hotel's getting expanded. May have to load that in. I added a whole kitchen area. This will be a dining hall and a little storage room that's kind of like a maze. There's one more coming that I can't remember where I was gonna put it. Oh, there's gonna be one here that'd be 2 4-story buildings, technically 5-story, I think, on this floor. So these will all be in this coming week. EMS update will hopefully be out within the next week. I'm trying to get it in testing at the beginning of next week. So anyway, guys, any questions, comments, concerns, go ahead and leave them below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you want to help support the game, don't forget to leave a Steam review.